My internship under Professor Lang here at Westfield. This class is an English 110 Honors Work Today composition course. In this course, students talk about the workplace and its diversity, gender stereotypes, and more. Under Professor Lang, I have helped him with breakout rooms, conferences, and working with students by helping and talking to them. This class was composed of 5 units. Unit 1, Exploratory Essay. Unit 2, Annotated Bib. Unit 3, Formal Proposal. Unit 4, Scholarly Research Project. And Unit 5, Reflection. With each of these units, I was assigned a task. Each unit also led to the end goal, which was the actual research project. With this, I was always helping Professor Lang as much as I could. How closely did the internship experience correspond with the original provisions of the contract? They actually matched up very well. The expectations followed through with the entire course. My expectations were to overlook Professor Lang and observe. I liked that I was able to teach my portion of the class. This made the internship even more worth it, and with Professor Lang, we had meetings each week to discuss the week's work. Professor Lang provided me with many learning opportunities throughout the entire internship. I was able to meet one-on-one with students, help in breakout rooms, help in conferences, even help them on their projects and answer any questions they may have. This was something I did often leading up to the final project. These learning opportunities will actually help me become a better teacher when it's my turn. I am very satisfied with the variety and nature of my experience. It was a sneak peek of what it was like to be a teacher. Although it was a freshman college course and I'm planning on focusing on high school, Lang still provided me with the tools I need to become a better teacher. This took place especially when it came to teaching my own lesson on abstracts. Teaching my own lesson was definitely most valuable. Lang gave me the opportunity to teach a section of the class, and this was when they were doing abstracts. So I did a presentation on abstracts, which included what an abstract was, how to write one, and the do's and don'ts of abstracts. This actually helped me to get over the nerves of what it was like to teach. On my lesson that I taught, students had time at the end of class to try and write an abstract themselves, as they would need it for their final project. Lang and I joined in on some breakout rooms where students worked on them on their own. Students even asked questions on abstracts, which made me feel really good when I taught them. This was a great lesson because I was really able to work with the students. I wouldn't say there is nothing that wasn't valuable, but if I had to choose, I would say that not being able to handle breakout rooms all alone with students was pretty difficult for me. I believe I was incapable of doing this because I didn't exactly know what the right approach was with students, and I did not know the students as well as Professor Lang did, so it was different. After this internship, I am in definitely a much better position. I realized I really enjoyed teaching. It's definitely for me, and I definitely realized I didn't want to teach college. I found it more suitable to teach a younger generation. Teaching younger kids is actually less frightening than teaching students very close in age. Teaching a college course is definitely interesting, but not for me. I'm very glad I took this. I'm more prepared for student teaching when the time does come. When I begin it, I'll already have the experience because of this internship, which is really nice. This is definitely helpful for becoming a teacher if you're not doing traditional student teaching. And I know the do's and don'ts of teaching, and these were things I had no clue about. I would recommend that this internship be retained. It made me feel good about becoming a teacher, and it would be beneficial for others, like I said, who are not doing traditional student teaching to take this route. I feel like I gained a lot from it as another prospecting teacher would as well. It's an incredible learning experience. This was something I wish I could have done more of. Grading annotated bibliographies was really a unique experience. It was a little difficult following the rubric and not exactly being sure of what the right comments to make were, but doing this, I felt like a real teacher, making this experience more memorable. I paid attention to what the students were doing right, but also what they could have done better on. But it can be pretty difficult to trying to figure out what the right responses to students are, especially in a college course. In a college course, you expect a lot more from students than you do in grade school, so when they don't rise to the occasion, it can be troubling for the teacher and the students. That's why I think differently now when grading, and this is because of readings I've read. So this reading caused me to grade differently and pay attention to what the students are doing right and not necessarily what they're doing wrong. This is a reading Lang assigned me to look at the art of grading differently. How you grade is the basis of your relationship with your students. Students will make mistakes, of course. It's just how you handle them. And this type of grading will help me as a teacher. And these are some comments I made while grading. I looked at 2 students' annotated bibs while looking at the rubric, and I made comments on what they were doing right and also what they could have improved on or added to. Personally, I believe this is an example of an effective teacher. Effective comments make an effective teacher, which make an effective student. But having guidelines is most important. Every class I've observed, I would take useful notes. I would take notes from my understanding on how to be an effective teacher. I would take notes on Professor Lang's motives and how he sets up the class. I also took notes on how each class goes, what I took from that class, and how the students were. So these notes were mainly for my benefit and how I can be better. Most of the times I was in breakout rooms, I'd be with Professor Lang. There's a few times where I was on my own, but I would take notes on how Lang used breakout rooms, and my job was to answer and help students with any questions they had that Professor Lang couldn't answer. Breakout rooms were definitely the best way to get to know your students. I learned a lot about students from being in breakout rooms with them. In conferences, I've learned a lot more because it's one-on-one. So one-on-one time with your students can be effective in class. Professor Lang notes that it's always important to let the students have control over the conference. Let them do the talking, and then you can help in any way you can. This lets them figure out for themselves what is it they need to improve on from their own ideas. And this writing course has taught me a lot. It taught students a lot as well. Donald Murray's teaching